Today for Women's History, I wanted to focus on someone who definitely has not gotten her flowers. I'm sure we've all heard of Florence Nightingale. Her name is almost synonymous with wartime nursing. But have we heard about the woman who was turned away from working with Florence Nightingale because she was Black? She didn't let this no stop her. She funded her own trip to where the war was taking place, and she established her own hospital in order to be a place of respite for sick and recovering soldiers. This fearless healer is Mary Seacole. She was born Mary Jane Gritt in 1805 in Kingston, Jamaica. Her mother was a free Black Jamaican who practiced traditional medicine, and her dad was a Scottish soldier. Her mother was known as the doctress, and she used traditional Caribbean and African herbal medicines in her healing. At the time, Jamaican doctresses mastered folk medicine, including the use of basic hygiene and different herbs. They had a vast knowledge of tropical diseases and basic skills in treating different injuries and sicknesses because they had been doing that sort of thing and taking care of people who'd been enslaved on sugar plantations for quite some time. From the time that she was a young child, she was exposed to this sort of medical practice, and she would go with her mother to different sort of house calls. And then because of her family's ties with the military, since her dad was a soldier, she was able to see doctors in the field as well. Through these experiences, she developed a deep passion for caring for people who were ill. However, she was highly adventurous, and she didn't want to just stay in Jamaica. She wanted to go anywhere and everywhere. She traveled to places like Panama, England, the Caribbean, and as she went, she gained medical experience and learned about different diseases that were prevalent at the time, like cholera and yellow fever. Despite having to deal with people who were prejudiced against her because of the color of her skin, she continued to press forward in her search for medical knowledge and ways to heal others. In the 1850s, the Crimean War broke out. The war lasted from 1853 until 1856 and was fought between the Russian Empire and an alliance of the United Kingdom, France, the Kingdom of Sardinia, and the Ottoman Empire. Many thousands of troops from all of the countries involved were drafted to the area, and disease broke out almost immediately. Almost immediately, there was a cholera outbreak, and hundreds were dying, and many, many more were ill. The hospitals in the area were very unsanitary, poorly staffed, overcramped, and they really only had medical provisions for people who were wounded. And so the ill were just kind of left to fend for themselves, unfortunately. In October of 1853, the Secretary of State for War of Britain approached Florence Nightingale to form a detachment of nurses to be sent to the hospital to try and save lives. And Mary went to go volunteer and was turned away. She faced multiple rejections before she just decided that she was going to go and help people by herself. If no one was going to let her do it, she was just going to go ahead and do it anyhow. She boarded a ship headed for the war zone and decided that she was going to build her own hospital. She didn't have proper building materials, obviously, so she gathered abandoned metal and wood and all spare time that she had, and used debris that was in the area to build her building. She found a site for the hotel at a place that she called Spring Hill and called her establishment the British Hotel, which was pretty near to the battlefield. From that home base, she provided food, shelter, and medical care to British soldiers. Unlike many other medical professionals, she often went to the front lines, treating the wounded under fire, and earned the affectionate title Mother Seacole from the soldiers. She stayed almost till the end of the war. She was one of the last people to leave, and she said that she was one of those folks who was returning to England poorer than when she left it. But money was never important. She was more interested on the impact that she could make. The soldiers that she treated could not have survived without her. She was described in the Illustrated London News in this statement. Perhaps at first the authorities looked askant at the woman volunteer, but they soon found her worth and utility. And from that time until the British Army left, Mother Seacole was a household word in the camp. In her store on Spring Hill, she attended many patients, cared for many sick, and earned the goodwill and gratitude of hundreds. After the war ended, she continued to be a nurse. She treated cholera outbreaks in Jamaica and Panama and really did showcase her expertise in medicine. She combined traditional Caribbean healing practices and Western medicine, creating innovative treatments for diseases that plagued all people, both civilians and soldiers. Mary Seacole defied societal expectations, racism, and rejection to serve those in need. She didn't wait for permission. She created her own opportunities to help others. She's finally being given the respect that she is owed, and people are finally hearing her story, which is a blessing. She said, "Time is a great restorer, and changes surely the greatest sorrow into a pleasing memory. We can only hope that time will be kind."